Welcome to our first Senate meeting in April. Um, so, yes, our last Senate meeting is on the 20th. Let's get started, shall we? All right, y'all. If you're participating virtually, get captions, 3 dots in the top right-hand corner, and of course, 1 speaker at a time. Today is April 6th. 2022, and I call this meeting to order at 5:37 p.m. I'm gonna start roll call. Alrighty, so Senator Baiwala, here. Senator Shiloh,
here.
Senator Brown, Senator McDowell,
here.
Senator Allen,
here.
Senator Lee,
here.
Senator Banerjee, present. All right. Senator Castellanos,
here.
Senator Garcia,
here.
Senator Gillis,
here.
Senator Johnson,
here.
Senator McFarland, alrighty. Senator Ruiz,
here.
Senator Taylor,
here.
Senator Van Boris. That's right. She's gonna be late. Senator M.
Here.
Senator Cowell.
Here.
Senator Baker.
Here.
Senator Imerimaru.
Here.
Senator Schultz will not be here, and Senator Syed.
Present.
Awesome. I believe we have quorum, and we have 1, 2, 4 senators absent. Awesome. So for today's agenda, executive reports, approval of minutes for the last 2 weeks. For new business, we do have a piece of resolution S 2022 R5, and a little bit earlier, but we have the election of senator of the session, and of course, lastly, shout outs and announcements and adjournment. So we'll start off with executive reports. If our executive team can come on down, that would be awesome. And we'll start off with our interim program director, JT.
Check. All right, how's it going, Senate? Good. I hope everybody's having fun, as I always say. As far as the intern program, we're kind of just wrapping up. So some key updates on Monday, we did purchase the jacket, so it's officially purchased for the interns. So very excited about that. Also, too, I have been preparing them for their capstone. They did show me a little bit of their drafts at this past Monday meeting. They look really good. So I think they'll be prepared for the first part, which is the group part on this upcoming Monday. Then the Monday after that, they'll do their individual 3-year plan, and then they'll kind of be done. I'm also working through the selection of the Intern of the Year award. So I will say, senators, you can, the mentors have already kind of recommended, but if you know any intern that you think has gone above and beyond this year that you would like to too, I'll still take recommendations until Friday at 5 p.m. So if you have a recommendation, please email me and send it my way and kind of explain why. Other than that, that's pretty much it as far as the interns, and they'll have their capstone dinner, like I said, on the 18th. The only senator that reached out is Grant, and so I will get back with Grant on more details with that. Any questions, comments, concerns?
Any questions for JT? If not, we'll move on to our next director. Thank you, JT. Our Deputy Chief of Staff.
Hi, everyone. Pretty short report. We're working on banquet right now. If you've not RSVP'd, do it by tomorrow at 11:59. If you don't RSVP, I'm taking that as a no. We have to order a set amount of plates. For the first time in 10 years, Eagles Nest and Ralph are both at 0. Eagles Nest is closed. Ralph is closed. Thank you. They're both closed. We have 1 pending application that will go to Eagles Nest next week. Then we're done. We have 6 Eagles Nest events upcoming. Other than that, nothing crazy. Does anyone have any questions?
Senator Johnson? I'll just go back and forth.
So for the banquet, I know I asked this earlier, but I forgot the number. How many people have RSVP'd?
41.
41. And the parking lot issue in terms of it's been rented out, so we just drive over there. It's free.
Yeah, so we're still working out logistics. Casey and I are touring the Hub Club tomorrow, but we are going to rent the parking lot. So you should just pull up, park, and go up.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Senator Allen.
Okay. So for those of us who are RSVP'd is that going to count?
That's counts as a yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Thank you.
Cool. Any other questions?
Senator Cowell.
The location is Apogee, right?
Yeah, it's going to be Apogee Hub Club. So it's like on the side of Apogee. We'll make a little map for y'all too.
Okay, 'cause I
But
don't
you
know
just
where
like
anything
take the
is.
elevator up. Well, yeah. Cool.
Awesome. Any other questions for our Deputy Chief of Staff? All right, we're going to move on over to teams. We'll have, oh, never mind. Senator Syed.
I didn't receive an RSVP invitation.
For
I will send you one right now. I think I sent it to like the Senate email chain, so I guess you weren't added
make
into
sure
it
you
yet.
complete the
Yeah.
entry form, and then we'll forward the email.
For sure.
Yes.
Ouch.
All righty. Any other questions? All right, we'll move on to Zoe, our Director for Diversity and Inclusion.
Hi guys, I've been working on the PBSO collab, so we're still doing it on April 15th at 6:30 p.m. We've now confirmed that we can be in the Union Library Mall, so that's where we will be. And then nearing the end of the year farewell, I want to say I enjoyed working with all of you guys, both branches. I wish all of you good luck, and you can always reach out to me at sgainclusion@unt.edu.
Awesome. Do we have any questions for Zoe? If not, thank you so much, Zoe. We'll turn it over to Maya, our Director of Outreach.
Hi guys. So main thing is that the committee social is going to be Friday from 12 to 2 in the Jade Ballroom. If you haven't RSVP'd for that, please do so before the end of tomorrow. I had a couple of committee meetings this week. I had several today, but I got into a little car accident, so I wanted to shout out my exec staff for jumping in and hosting those. They've been such a great help with everything, especially today. So I appreciate them for that. But that's it for me, really, just working on the same project.
Any questions for our Outreach Director, Senator Ruiz?
If it's all right if I ask, are you okay, Maya?
I am all good. My car sadly is not, but I am all good. I'm just resting my body because I know I'm gonna be like pretty hurting tomorrow. So, but yeah.
Thank you for all that you do, and I hope you feel better.
Thank you for asking. Thank you so much.
Any other questions? All right, we'll turn it over to Casey, our Chief of Staff.
Hello. So this is going to be a quite hectic couple weeks working on banquet with Bella. Bella's done really great at taking the head of that. The award form for the awards that will be given out at banquet will come out most likely Thursday evening or Friday at the latest. Everyone in SGA will be able to vote on these awards. If you have any questions about that process, let me know. But that will be released Thursday. It will be sent out to everyone within the organization. As well as working on state of the undergraduate student body. It's going to be, like we said, very similar to banquet. It's going to be in the same location. We're going to rent out the parking lot. But that is our current plan for that. I'm also working on the Fester Graham Award, Alton Thibodeau Award. Fester Graham Award, we've had some solid applications. The Alton Thibodeau Award, we have not. So the nomination form closes tonight at 11:59. I would really appreciate if y'all went on there after the Senate meeting and thought through some individuals that might be good candidates for those two awards. It's a student-led committee, and the Fester Graham Award is a professor award. The Alton Thibodeau Award is a diversity-based award given to a student, faculty, or staff that promotes diversity as well as multiculturalism here on campus this year. So please, if you have anyone in mind, submit a nomination form. So that will be followed up with that next week. And then, yeah, and so we're getting close. I'm working on my transition documents. I'm at around 4,000 words, around 13 pages. So I'm almost done. But yeah, any questions for myself?
All righty.
Thank you.
Thank you, Casey. All right. We have our SGA president, Devin. Go ahead.
Hey y'all, that was good timing. So I've been doing a little bit of everything this last week. Unfortunately, we had to do another PM statement, postmortem statement for a student who passed away. That went out April 1st. Transition documents are a lot of our staff's been working on. Of course, that's also what I'm working on. The deadline was extended, and so official transition will begin around mid-April for the next administration. I've been in a few meetings with administration on some different topics. I'm also trying to set up some meetings. One with Danny Armitage regarding some housing stuff, and trying to get some communication with transportation, and also talking with Kathleen a little bit, trying to get something set up there too. So looking forward to those meetings. So far it's been pretty productive, and I'm looking forward to some more progress as we host more of those meetings. I'm also meeting with Renee McNamara in the Dean of Students office to discuss the flight memorial ceremony, which happens every year to remember students who have passed away. Hopefully there'll be more details on that soon. But we're still kind of trying to figure out the process for that. So definitely a lot of meetings. We also got the Constitution updated, which I believe I sent y'all, so you should have access to the new version. And thank you, David, for uploading it to the website. So y'all should also have access through the website as well. That took a little finagling with some formatting and some stuff like that in terms of trying to get it from the legislation to the actual document that's in the folder, but we got it there. Really, it's been a lot of post-election kind of follow-up, making sure everything is looking good and updated, but also kind of getting meetings set up and trying to follow up on some of our initiatives. So hoping to have some more information for y'all following some of these meetings, but really optimistic as we start to wrap up the year. So I think that's about what I've got. Are there any questions? All right.
All right. Thank you, Devin. All right, y'all. Time for my report. So been working on, or not been working on, had one-on-ones with multiple people, updated the website, as Devin mentioned, updated governing documents on there. Our elections page has changed, so now results are on there. So for both our next administration and for our senators. So there's that. Trying to think. Been slowly trying to get some of the things on the website polished up. I'm working on contacting our senators elects for summer senate. So any senators that are returning, that's something you're interested, just keep it in your head for a little bit. I'll communicate more about how it's going to look like. Just letting y'all know, the Constitution was changed to change the requirements for summer senate. So instead of the president appointing who's going to be on summer senate, y'all will be deciding that. So that will happen probably next week. That's going to be the timeline. So y'all will have the opportunity to dictate that. Trying to think. Senate committees. I've received 3 submissions and I approved all of them. So campus life and environment, amazing job. Shout out to Ethan for everything. Truly I don't know if you've been to the SG office, but I'm telling you, there's a lot of material. So I'm excited for the event. Diversity and inclusion as well. That was approved in internal Senate committee. I still don't have one from legislative affairs. So the deadline did pass. I'm going to be reaching out to y'all. Again, transition documents, been working on making sure I'm adding a couple more things to that. Trying to think if there's anything else. But yes, does anyone have any questions for me? Yes, Senator Johnson.
Not too much a question, but another shout out to Alejandra, who's also been doing an amazing job on that committee as well.
All righty. Senator Allen.
Yeah. I don't know if this is the right time to ask this, but you mentioned Summer Senate. Are we going to discuss more about like when that will be in the upcoming meeting, or?
Yes. So we can talk about it a little bit now. So let me share my screen so y'all understand what I'm referring to. So traditionally, summer senates comprise of at least 10 senators, usually 5 from y'all, and then 5 that were newly elected. Summer Senate does not meet often. It's typically at least 2 meetings. It's required to have one for summer 1, one for summer 2. I know for our year, we did 3 meetings, 1 in June, 1 in July, and 1 in August. So let me pull that up for y'all, just so y'all are familiar. So again, the requirements, and it's a volunteer basis. So y'all will actually confirm summer Senate and summer senators. They have all the powers except to impeach and remove the student body president. So essentially, we can go more in detail of how that's going to look like. But so far, the only thing I'm doing is making sure I'm communicating with Senator-elects about, hey, this is an opportunity for you to get involved in the summer. But that will be how that's going to look like. It's more for the vice president-elect. So yes, Senator Johnson.
So like I know the Constitution's changed and all that, but like in past years there was like a certain number that we're kind of shooting for. Is there an exact number or something we're shooting for the Senate?
Currently it says at least 10, and I'm gonna move forward with just at least 10. But yes, Senator Ruiz.
This is just a quick hypothetical that I just am curious. If we do not fulfill the at least 10 requirement, what happens?
It's kind of required, and we will have a long Senate meeting until we get that.
Okay, just curious. I just want to know. Okay, thank you.
All right, y'all. So essentially 5 people that are currently in Senate, and then 5 newly elected. So if you are returning, you cannot double dip. So you'll be considered for right now, and then newly elected people will be considered for the other 5. But again, we'll go more in detail that on next week, hopefully. That's my timeline for that. But any other questions on how it's going to look like? Alrighty. Okay, any other questions? No. Alrighty, let's move on to the next item on the agenda. So we have minutes that need to be approved. So this is for the 23rd of March. So going to scroll down. Lots of amendments. And of course, because it was moved, seconded, and approved, tables 1 and 4 from the Excel sheet that Krista provided based on population. So there's that one, and this one is if the constitutional amendment has passed. If there's no objection, it is passed. We'll move on to the next one. This one was from last week. Any questions or concerns? All right. Nope. On which one? Where? Oh, okay. If there's no objections, I'm just going to change that, and forgot to add your name. Okay. Okay. All right. All right. Good catch. Good catch. All righty. Okay. It's approved then. All right. We'll move on to new business. Let me do this since I downloaded that. Let me use the version that you sent me, Beige, because I saw your email just now. Okay. So this is S 2022 R6. Let me pull this up first. So S 2022 R6, trans existence is not a debate, submitted by Senator Cowell, and we have co-sponsors Samantha Cowell and Julian Yanis. So I'm gonna get that pulled up for y'all. Give me 1 second. Let me do this. One page. Alrighty. Whenever y'all ready, y'all can start reading.
Okay, just a second, y'all.
Mr. Speaker,
Yes.
I move for the student survey responses part to be considered read.
Yes. We're not planning to, so we're only planning, and you can correct me, Beige.
If I might, actually, I'm gonna say something really quick. So we are only going to be reading the body of the document. Some statements, not all, are included in the body. I think it is imperative that those statements are read on the Senate floor, so that's what we're gonna do, unless y'all really want to object. But I do just want to say thank you guys for being here, giving us your attention. This document is a long one, but I think it's really important for our student body. So this is Samantha Cowell next to me. She is my co-author and my beautiful young sister. And also she is the media relations officer for the space at UNT, which is our trans student organization. Samantha's pronouns, I think, are also up there, but they're she, her, and AM. And so if you want to know how to use AM pronouns, it's just like they, them without the TH. And then Julian actually was not able to come today. So we're joined up here with Kevin Liggins, who is a member of the BIPOC Art Association and is a trans student here at UNT. Kevin pronouns are he, him, and they, them. And I also want to give a formal content warning. This document does include mentions of suicide, self-harm, sexual assault, mental illness, transphobia, and a slur is mentioned in a quote from a UNT student. So just in case anybody feels like that would be triggering to them, just want to let you know. But without further ado, we'll get started. Okay. S 2022 R6, trans existence is not a debate. Whereas the University of North Texas policy states, the University of North Texas prohibits discrimination and harassment because of race, color, national origin, religion, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, gender expression, age, disability, genetic information, veteran status, or any other characteristic protected under applicable federal or state laws in its application and admission process, educational programs and activities, employment policies, procedures, and processes, and university facilities. The university takes active measures to prevent such conduct and investigates and takes remedial action when appropriate. Whereas on February 16th, a UNT student filmed a 39-second video of her and a friend in Willis Library where she was conversing with another UNT student. The other student was expressing his distaste before walking away. He had been looking at a computer screen where she and her friend had been scrolling through posters advertising a UNT student organization's upcoming event with Jeff Younger. This was previously scheduled for February 23rd and later moved to March 2nd due to inclement weather. The student and her friend said that they were at Willis Library to print out flyers. Whereas at the time of the situation, Jeff Younger was running for a Texas State House seat. He fought his ex-wife over custody of his two children, one of which is a young trans girl, and lost. He's very outspoken on his position to try and outlaw the, quote, chemical castration of minors, end quote, block schools from enacting transgender transition without parental consent, and to reform juvenile justice laws. Whereas, defined by the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, transphobia is the irrational fear of, aversion to, or discrimination against transgender people, whereas Jeff Younger's program presented at the UNT Student Org event was transphobic. A UNT student organization posted 2 flyers on their Instagram and Twitter pages. The phrase, quote, criminalize child transitions, end quote, which was present, is violent, hateful, and transphobic. The poster is directly attacking members of the UNT community and would directly attack future members of the UNT community. Many have siblings who are children and are trans. Still, some UNT students transitioned as children themselves. There could be currently or in the future transgender UNT students who are 17 years old, including freshmen and TAM students who are minors and can be considered children. Whereas on February 22nd, UNT President Neil Smochek sent out an email to all Eagle Connect emails. The message was mostly a non-specific response to the previously described incidents on campus. There was no explicit condemnation of the transphobic actions that took place. Some notable quotes include, quote, regardless of who we are or where we come from, we always will encounter people who disagree with us or do not accept us. Here on our campus, we honor our First Amendment rights. And even when we don't agree with others' opinions, our views or our very existence might be challenged in ways that feel incredibly hurtful. And I encourage you to engage in open discourse, free expression, and debate. All individuals have the right to peacefully assemble, to speak, and to engage in expressive activity, including that which you may find offensive. Each of you has the freedom to express yourself and the freedom to walk away, disempowering those with intolerant views. His statement equated transphobic harassment to a difference in opinion. While it's true that the UNT campus honors every student's First Amendment rights, Smochek's response seemed to ignore or be ignorant of the severity of the situation and did nothing to try to protect transgender students from future harm. Whereas on February 25th, SGA Senator Beige Cowell published a survey to their social media titled Survey for the Trans Community at UNT in collaboration with the Space at UNT Media Relations Officer Samantha Cowell. The survey's response is, quote, for Samantha and Beige to build legislation that would protect transgender, non-binary, genderqueer, and gender-questioning members of the University of North Texas community. The survey collected 58 responses, 6 of which were test responses by the survey makers, and stopped collecting new statements on March 17th. Whereas the following statements were submitted to the survey by self-identifying UNT students who are transgender. Statements appear as they were submitted, including typos and grammar mistakes, in order to maintain the integrity of the original statement, used here with written consent.
Please excuse me if I stutter or slur any words. The email response calling transphobic remarks a form of opinion, freedom of speech was awful. I came to this university that boasted its diversity to get away from that rhetoric I would regularly get from my family and others at home. I'm sick of my rights being an opinion for someone to debate, and I feel like UNT should do much, much better if they're going to continue boasting how accepting they are. Anonymous response 15.
I came to UNT with the expectation that I would be safe. The guest speaker to be brought by YCT has severely harmed that sense of security. The inaction by UNT administration, as well as the condescending message from President Sam Trisk, has made the situation worse. Anonymous 16.
The YCT has been spreading extremely negative commentary about the trans community that is dangerously misleading and just contributes to trans suicides. I've been incredibly distraught over not just Kelly Neudart and YCT's actions, but also UNT's inability to make any actions against it. This is hate speech, and I can't even feel comfortable on a campus that prides itself on inclusivity. AJ Tucker.
I no longer feel safe on campus. I have to be vigilant in every fucking step that I take, aware of every corner, every little presence. I am not passing. I do not have that luxury. I'm so very fucking scared for myself and my friends that also do not pass. We have no chance of safety, no chance of avoiding sexual assault to fix us, or physical assault, or even gun violence, and no idea how many in numbers they are. I used to feel safe being who I was on campus. I was trying to come out of my shell and transition safely where I would not get that support in my own home. I can't even fucking do that now. Anonymous 20.
It seems like many people intentionally are spreading misinformation about the trans community and being blatantly disrespectful and discriminatory against the trans community. Personally, my most common feeling is anger, which compels me to try to act against them to protect myself and those I care about. Fear is also very common, though I try my best to ignore it. Fear of others who might wish me harm based on both my skin color and my presentation are a part of my life that I don't think will change. But I sincerely hope that I can build a better world here where people no longer need to live with that fear. Danielle Disla.
I don't feel comfortable presenting myself openly in public when there's a school-funded group openly rallying for the criminalization of my identity. It's hard not to feel ostracized from my peers knowing a large group of them think this way. Anonymous 28.
The recent rhetoric has made me feel unsafe on campus. This isn't a matter of opinions, but a group of people who are unwilling to listen to medical professionals and decide to spread misinformation about an even more vulnerable group within the trans community instead. This rhetoric is a false justification for people who wish harm. Our First Amendment for freedom of speech, freedom of expression, is encroached upon when we allow bitter extremists the leeway to behave like this and insist people like me shouldn't exist. The statements made by Kelly are slanderous and libelous to not only the trans community, but to parents of trans children. I'm furious at how entitled this group feels to know and control every aspect of a community they so stubbornly refuse to listen to in the first place. She can feel however she wants, whatever, but she does not actually care about children when she uses her personal little feelings to try and claim she knows everything about a group she's not even in nor listens to. Robin Richardson.
As a non-binary student on this campus, the recent transphobia has negatively impacted my time here. I came to UNT expecting to find a welcoming community that supports and sustains the diverse student population, but instead tears itself apart from the inside. There are those on campus who are doing their part to maintain a healthy, equitable campus, and I appreciate them for it. However, there are those who are remaining closed-minded. I hope that school administration listens to the students and implements a positive change soon. Anonymous 32.
I feel like we've been put under the myth that UNT is a safe and liberal university, but I feel like students on campus have been judgmental of individuals' gender identity, refusing that call individuals by their pronouns and chosen names, and finally, there have been transphobic bullying and harassment in social media spaces, such as the UNT Reddit, that go unchecked. Anonymous response 33.
It has made me feel very unsafe on campus and in general. The knowledge that my parents are being shamed for half supporting me is disgusting. Never did I think I'd be calling my parents to warn them. My life is in danger and UNT cares more about freedom of speech. Gallo Reese.
It is incredibly stressful to not only be hated and discouraged on account of my identity by the entire world, but to experience it on a college campus where I pay to attend because the campus admin allows it is abysmal. Anonymous response 39.
It's all very hurtful. A primary reason why I chose to attend UNT was because they were so infamously inclusive and diverse. I wanted a place to feel safe and at home, since I hadn't been out to my family at the time, but apparently I was mistaken. It's nice to have professors ask for everyone's pronouns at the start of courses and go out of their way to not dead name anyone, but I guess trans inclusivity doesn't go beyond that for UNT. I feel threatened, I feel unsafe, I feel afraid. The actions of Kelly and the YCT are blatant acts of discrimination, and with their encounters inspected, it's obvious their views go beyond simple conservative. UNT is putting the safety and well-being of their trans students at risk, just as to not anger those on the right, avoid bad press from right-wing media, and possible loss of funding. I'm terrified for the protest. I've been told I've been a big name in getting the information out surrounding it, which is kind, but I haven't said outright that I'm afraid. I don't want everyone else to panic, but people need to realize the truth of being trans. I'm afraid they will bring back up people who aren't students and don't have the risk of explosion holding them back from showing trans people what they really think about us. I fear that this will become something worse. I don't want UNT's lack of response to end in injury, violence, or God forbid death. But it's the reality we trans people have to face. We have to think about the people who want us dead, who want to hurt us for being unapologetically ourselves. Cis people don't realize that. Being trans in the real world comes from a big fat dose of fear, anxiety, apprehension, and hiding. Neil's response to the YCT has only brought those feelings to the forefront of his trans students. We no longer feel that safety we were initially told we would feel by Texas' most diverse, inclusive campus. Finn Cowan.
After seeing the YCT official Twitter, I was very hurt and offended by the things they posted. They blatantly state that they are against the LGBTQ plus community in a post that quotes, "I'm conservative, but I support the LGBT," followed by a line of red flags. They also posted a meme poking fun at the general population of UNT, claiming that the starter pack for going to UNT includes being medicated, being trans or queer, being a communist, and a guy wearing makeup. I was already really uncomfortable reading all these, knowing these people are going to school with me. I got a pit in my stomach after seeing one of their tweets in particular. They posted a picture of a person burning in supposedly hell with the caption, "They thems on Judgment Day." For one, it felt very hostile and being a non-binary person with amazing and supportive Christian family and friends, it made me very angry. Not to encourage their stereotype, but I am mentally ill, and while they may not be out to literally burn me, my brain is convinced I am not safe on campus because of this hate group. I'll be honest, I look like a queer. I've got dyed hair, piercings, a funky fashion sense, so it's not like I can just blend in. Plus, I don't want to feel like I have to blend in. I want to feel safe on this campus. I went to school here because I figured it would be safe for me. Freedom of speech is not a valid argument for letting this hate group continue with their harmful actions. Yes, they are allowed to say and think as they please, but they are doing so while representing UNT and generalizing all members of UNT in a very hurtful way. I would honor their protection of the First Amendment if they were just saying they were racist, homophobic, transphobic, ableist, and so on, because that's their views, and they aren't hurting anyone physically or mentally, just by saying they don't like you. However, I felt specifically targeted with the burning person post. When I read it in my mind, started racing. Paranoia set in. I couldn't focus on the work I was meant to be finishing that day. I had to sit down with my mother to calm me down and tell me that it'll be okay. I cried and wondered if it would be safe for me on campus when there are people out there telling me that I'll burn. I know that for non-Christians it doesn't mean much to be told that, but when you have supporters around you who are Christian, it comes off as violent and terrifying. I chose not to state my religion as I am unsure of my faith in anything. Hate speech is protected by the First Amendment, but it can be argued that when it genuinely affects someone, something should be done about it. Craig R. Smith, Director, Center for First Amendment Studies of California State University, wrote the essay, Circumventing the True Threat and Viewpoint Protection Test to Deal with Persistent Campus Hate Speech. In this, Smith proposes that students or others subjected to harassment provide the context of the harassment, such as the psychological effects, to show how the speech impacted their education or work. So if the internal hurting of this hate group speech isn't enough for people to shut them down, maybe you will acknowledge how it has stunted me academically this whole week. I spent 8 to 10 hours every day studying and working on assignments. When my paranoia set in over what I saw them saying, I could no longer focus on the work I had just taken a break from to walk to fellow club members of the space. When I saw the terrible things being shared online by one of UNT's own official clubs, I felt sick to my stomach. Needless to say, I'm quite behind on my work for this week after I needed to take a mental break to assure myself that I would be safe. If not on campus, then at home. Many of the trans and queer folk on campus are mentally ill and are being targeted by YCT. They are trying to make us upset and scared. They want a reaction out of us. They want to hurt us. I wish UNT would listen to their students in this case. I understand the First Amendment and viewpoint protection. I support it too. However, this has gone further than just sharing opinions. This is harming the trans community on campus. We do not feel safe knowing that this hate group is allowed to say and do things that can do so much damage to a person's psyche. This isn't the respectful debate many of the school staff are making it out to be. This has gone much further and there needs to be action. Anonymous response 42.
By saying we appreciate you and you matter without doing anything to actually protect us, I feel less accepted than if the school had just remained silent. Actions speak louder than words, and your inaction is stating loudly that you don't actually care about your transgender students. I'm already afraid to be myself around my family. How am I supposed to be able to learn if I'm afraid to be myself at my own school as well? Anonymous 44.
Up until recently, I considered UNT to be a welcoming and comforting environment for those who identify with marginalized groups, including the LGBT plus community. I am so thankful to have the support of my friends and family as a person who openly identifies as being part of a sexual minority and happens to also be transgender. I regret to say that my loved ones and I have been very disappointed with the activity on campus in recent times in regard to the blatantly transphobic and false agenda being spread by the YCT, that minors are being forced into gender transition surgeries. The freedom to spread such a hateful narrative will inevitably open up the doors for alt-right groups to also openly discriminate against those of sexual minorities, people of color, and those of underrepresented populations. UNT has a responsibility to limit this kind of dangerous dialogue on campus, and in order to keep the promise of being a safe campus for all, I believe it is essential that UNT prevent the YCT from continuing to be affiliated with our campus. Anonymous response 45.
I'm a demigirl, so it's always upsetting to hear transphobia, but I'm also a student teacher, so the most upsetting part is my trans students constantly hearing others debate whether they should have rights or not. They're already struggling with their identity and parents. They don't need the community to debate their rights to exist or whether their existence is even real. Plus, it just misinforms their parents and peers to continue being transphobic towards them. Anonymous 47.
Intolerance feels like the new norm. Neil just gave the YCT a bigger following and tried to clean up the mess with a shitty email, successfully giving the hate group a bigger audience and platform to spread hateful ideologies more. While preaching about how UNT is a loving, respectful campus, this reaction to this amount of intolerance really sets the stage for what UNT truly stands for. Receiving funding from those who they think actually matter, stepping on the toes of the community who actually brings UNT to life. Violetta Soul.
I'm going to interject for just 1 second. Senator, just make sure we have our undivided attention to the screen. I don't know, I can't see, but I see people are typing. I don't know what it is, but just make sure we have our undivided attention. This is sensitive, so y'all can proceed.
While it's not wholly surprising that there would be transphobic rhetoric on a Texas University campus, the spineless response of the administration and refusal to even attempt to challenge these statements is indicative of who the University of North Texas considered permissible on its campus. Between the positions of trans people exist and trans people should not exist, there can be no middle ground, no place for compromise. Yet, this is exactly the impossible position the administration has chosen to place students who are already attending school during a pandemic and in the shadow of a new and rapidly developing global conflict. It is not enough to merely exist in a state that seems to monthly enact new legislation against a vulnerable class of people. No, the administration of an institution, higher learning, has decided to align itself with those who oppose to modern science and suggest that we should hear out individuals who deny our very existence. This is an abdication of its duty to its students of UNT and an embarrassment to anyone affiliated with this school. To allow this hateful rhetoric to go unchallenged, to suggest that marginalized individuals should have to defend their own right to exist without being attacked. To invite onto this campus individuals running political campaigns on the back of the beliefs that deny the humanity of UNT students tells one everything one needs to know about this joke of a university. I had my suspicions during the pandemic as we were forced into classrooms despite the dangers that this institution exists largely to launder the tuition paid into the pockets of those who benefit from it. The fact that there is absolutely no loyalty to these students against those who violate federal law, the student code of conduct, and basic human decency make it abundantly clear that those in charge of this university have absolutely no scruples. I am ashamed to soon have UNT as my alma mater. Anonymous 54.
After going to the YCT protest, not only did I feel hurt and scared that people would stand by some of Jeff Younger's statements, including him saying that trans children being more likely to commit suicide is funny, and to see UNT not only defend YCT's decision to let this man speak horrible rhetorics of the trans community on campus, but to then also demonize the trans community for protesting that action and standing up for our freedom and rights, is incredibly hurtful and discouraging. The police also caused injury among protesters and not only refused to take accountability, but also justified their actions, which UNT's president, standing with their incorrect statements of the events, does not help the harm caused on transgender students by the police at the protest. None of this would have happened, and so much emotional and physical damage could have been avoided if YCT was never allowed to bring Jeff Younger to speak about criminalizing trans healthcare to minors. YCT, and specifically Kelly Neardart, have targeted the trans community for a while and has harassed my girlfriend for being trans and posting videos of trans students and essentially doxing anyone who is transgender on social media without their consent. YCT makes me scared to exist on campus, and if I can't feel safe for being myself at UNT, one of the most liberal colleges in Texas, then where would I be? Seeing Texas as a whole demonize and target the trans community has made my mental health decline and discouraged the efforts of my transgender peers. And for the UNT president to claim to care about us and yet not stand with us and protect us from this hateful speech from YCT, I have no hope in UNT ever being as inclusive and safe for me as they claim, and that makes me fear for my life every day. AJ Tucker.
I have felt unsafe on campus due to recent comments and events on campus. I have felt threatened just because of who I am and am scared to use any public bathrooms on campus as someone could harass me and easily get away with it. Anonymous 59.
Whereas the following statements were submitted to the survey by self-identifying UNT students who are not transgender, but have a loved one who is. Statements appear as they were originally submitted, including typos and grammar mistakes, in order to maintain the integrity of the original statement, used here with written consent.
It has offended me to the core, but that is nothing to the heartache my trans friends are going through. College is supposed to be the place they can embrace their true selves, and to see hatred against them is a pain. Trans kids can't undergo reassignment surgery, but they can be hurt if outed to their transphobic parents. I am begging for the trans community to be protected. Lorenzo Canizares.
I do not consider myself trans, but I am gender fluid. I have loved ones close to me who are trans, are students here. On campus, my friends and I are having our identities threatened. Knowing about this rhetoric on campus makes me hesitant to share my identity with anyone. I stopped telling people my pronouns, and that usually helps me, but it's not that easy for my friends who are transitioning. It's not always easy to pass when transitioning, and because of that, they are at risk of harm. We shouldn't have to hide our identities because of harmful rhetoric that threatens us just because of how we present ourselves and our identify. Looking at the suicide rates of those in the trans community has me worried about my friends and those who are not out yet. For myself, not telling anyone my pronouns and my identity has caused emotional distress. With UNT students posting publicly online about their hate and targeting UNT students, I've always taken my identity and pronouns out of my bio in fear of being targeted. Knowing UNT backs these students who are targeting trans, non-binary students breaks my heart, and it's caused my friends and I depression and anxiety. Anonymous 22.
I see many of my trans friends share how transphobic behavior on campus makes them upset and afraid to participate on campus. My little sister, who is a trans woman, has seen the recent events that have transpired at UNT, and it makes her not want to come back to campus. As someone who is non-binary, I want to do anything I can to make the campus safe for everyone in the community. Anonymous response 24.
Although I am not a member of the trans community, I have many friends who are, and I have heard their stories of feeling unsafe on campus. It breaks my heart that people are constantly worried for their safety with having done absolutely nothing wrong. As an ally to the trans community, I have been trying to spread awareness to ensure that my friends can live without fear. Addison Surratt.
I know that Kelly and members of the Young Conservatives of Texas have gone at great lengths to make LGBTQ members feel uncomfortable and unsafe. Personally, I have felt disappointed with the campus's actions with allowing Kelly and YCT to keep harassing students on the basis of gender and sexual orientation. This behavior isn't funny, nor should a student be allowed to film other students in an attempt to shame them or ridicule them. These people make the UNT campus feel unsafe and dangerous. If someone can get away with recording another student against their will, then this behavior won't be stopped. UNT thinks they're staying neutral by doing nothing, but allowing a group of people to invite someone who openly campaigns for policies that hurt members of the LGBT after Texas has signed a law will hurt those members in the same week. UNT is siding with Kelly and YCT. Students shouldn't have to feel scared or threatened because some club considers sexual identity or sexual orientation political. This is a clear mistake on the university's part for allowing a group of people to consistently harass LGBT students. While I am not a part of that community, I find it extremely saddening and frustrating. I can't stand to see friends scared or be targeted by a group of people who are too obsessed with how someone else identifies. The fact remains that Kelly and YCT actively target LGBT students who are simply living their life and partaking in LGBT events. UNT should handle this situation and not allow harassment or hate persists like this. These actions do not only affect LGBT students, they affect all of us. Because if Kelly and YCT can target one group of minorities, what's to stop them from targeting another? Anonymous response 37.
I used to work as an orientation leader, and I had the opportunity to meet several wonderful incoming students who are a part of the trans community. However, many of these students were coming from situations where it was unsafe to tell their own family members about their identity. When these students came to UNT, the few I spoke to told me how they finally felt safe about being who they are at UNT, and they even had the opportunity here to legally change their name, get a binder, etc. But the recent transphobic rhetoric on campus will create an unwelcome and potentially unsafe environment for our trans community, and it will only make these students feel isolated and not welcome to be who they are, when previously they felt that UNT was a place where they could finally be themselves. UNT says that they are welcoming of students in the trans community, but this recent transphobic rhetoric says otherwise, and I just want my students to feel welcome and safe on campus. Anonymous 40.
My trans loved ones already live in constant fear. What will others say? What will they think? Are some thoughts they have in their mind? The recent events only terrifies them more. It even terrifies me. What if this moves from transphobia to the rest of the LGBTQIA community? People are suggesting to move to states where we're welcomed, but why should we have to? We're still human beings. Zachary Wolf.
Whereas the following statements were submitted to the survey by self-identifying UNT students who are not transgender, nor do they have a loved one who is. Statements appear as they were submitted, including typos and grammar mistakes, in order to maintain the integrity of the original statement used here with written consent.
Although I'm not transgender, I understand the direct negative impact that this kind of rhetoric has on the trans students here at UNT, and for that I am upset. It's incredibly frustrating to see such overt hatred thrown towards transgender people who are simply trying to live out the best lives that they can. Anonymous 35.
Recent events have made me question the sincerity of UNT faculty and administrators when they claim UNT is a diverse and accepting community. Anonymous response 42.
I love the war against trans tards. Let's cure this mental disability. Anonymous 52.
Whereas the trans community at UNT feels threatened, unsafe, and harassed by the aforementioned student organization's actions and rhetoric. On March 2nd, the event featuring guest speaker Jeff Younger took place. It was held in Curry Hall, which was closed except for the room the meeting took place in, and guests were cut off from entering after capacity was reached. Just outside, a few hundred protesters gathered in support of transgender students and children and were heard shouting, "Protect trans kids," among other things. The event itself comprised of protesters present shouting in an attempt to prevent Younger from speaking. Jeff Younger is quoted in saying things like, "There is no such thing as a trans person," and calling protesters snowflakes and communists during the meeting. Younger and some other UNT student were escorted out of the building by campus police. Later that night, the UNT police also responded to a complaint from someone in a local hospital who said that they were hit by a UNT police vehicle. Details as reported by the Dallas Morning News and Pink News. Whereas on March 3rd, UNT President Neil Smachus sent out an email to all Eagle Connect emails. The message was regarding the aforementioned event taking place on March 2nd by a registered UNT organization. The email was focused solely on the events of the protest, including security issues, concerns, and nonviolent and violent developments. He did not comment on the content that was being contended over, nor did he express support for the transgender community at UNT in any way, merely stating, because conversations surrounding the student organization's event, which focused on criminalizing healthcare for transgender students, transgender children, have been contentious, UNT police created a plan to ensure their ability to maintain a safe environment for our entire campus community, the student organizers, their guests, and event protesters, requesting advance assistance from both Denton Police and the Texas Department of Public Safety. And we have always been a passionate community that stands up for our ideals, but last night's behavior by some individuals is not reflective of the UNT I know and love. Whereas on March 10th, UNT President Neil Smachus held a town hall to address some concerns from the trans community. Here's an account from Samantha Cowell, a trans student at UNT who was present at the event. President Smachus held a town hall this afternoon on the steps in front of the Hurdley Admin Building. This was done to respond to some of the concerns of the transgender community as well as the university as a whole regarding the recent YCT protest. President Smachus responded to questions with non-answers. He gave very surface-level responses and declined to elaborate on what the UNT administration would do to mitigate the issue. However, he did say that the issue involving YCT was being looked into by a third-party investigator, though declined to confirm if said investigator was unbiased. Through most of the event, Smachus brushed aside firsthand accounts of those in the crowd who are members of the trans community. Whereas on March 16th, UNT President Neil Smachus sent out an email to all Eagle Connect emails at the behest of students. The short message was titled "Supporting Our Queer and Trans Community." Smachus condemned transphobic actions as abhorrent. It is unacceptable when people are hateful or groups go out of their way to bully or demean marginalized populations. There's no place for this behavior on our campus, and concluded with, we are focused on learning from recent experiences and events that have impacted our community. However, his message had no plan of action to tangibly address the transphobic situations, nor did he mention any effort that would protect the queer and trans community from future harm. Whereas the above-mentioned actions by the student organization were in clear violation of UNT Policy 16.004 and caused substantial and direct harm and distress to transgender UNT students. Whereas, according to the ACLU of Kansas Legal Director Sharon Brett, hate speech is free speech, so the Constitution protects people's ability to say hateful and potentially emotionally harmful things. That is a core component of the First Amendment right to freedom of speech. Hate speech crosses over that threshold when it incites criminal activity or when it provides a direct threat to somebody of violent or criminal activity. Whereas in Virginia v. Black, 2003, the court defined true threats as statements where the speaker means to communicate a serious expression of an intent to commit an act of unlawful violence to a particular individual or group of individuals. Further, the court held that speech loses First Amendment protection and becomes intimidation when it is, quote, a type of true threat where a speaker directs a threat to a person or group of persons with the intent of placing the victim in fear of bodily harm or death. Whereas, according to the article from the Washington Post on Texas Governor Greg Abbott's recent directive for CPS and DFBS to investigate cases of gender-affirming childcare as abuse, they say, quote, there is no existing law in Texas or any other state that categorizes gender-affirming care as abuse. In the wake of Abbott's directive, some county attorneys say they will not enforce it, and legal and transgender policy experts emphasize that neither the letter nor Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton's supportive opinion were legally binding. Yet within days of Abbott's letter, Texas officials began opening investigations of families suspected of providing gender-affirming care to their children. And these investigations have been conducted outside of the typical protocol for child abuse cases, according to attorneys who represent the families and the testimony of a CPS investigations supervisor. As of March 11th, officials confirmed that 9 such cases have been opened. Since then, Texas's authority to launch these investigations has only grown murkier. On March 11th, a judge in Austin issued a temporary injunction against Abbott's orders, calling it unconstitutional overreach and a violation of the democratic process. The injunction blocked investigators and prosecutions of families accused of child abuse solely on the basis of providing gender-affirming care, at least until a trial in the case could take place in July. Within hours, Paxton tweeted that his office had filed an appeal and claimed that the judge's injunction was thereby, quote, frozen, and investigations would continue. Legal experts and state officials have said that it's unclear how DFBS plans to proceed. Attorneys representing clients under the investigation have said that they have not yet been told whether the cases will continue or be closed. And so the uncertainty has intensified for parents who are still waiting to hear what will happen to their families. Whereas language like criminalized child transitions is legally unlawful and must be considered a true threat per Virginia v. Black, as removal of gender-affirming child care can cause bodily harm as well as mental and emotional harm. According to the Trevor Project's 2021 National LGBTQ Youth Mental Health Survey, 42% of LGBTQ youth seriously considered attempting suicide in the past year, including more than half of transgender and non-binary youth. In addition, 62% of queer youth reported symptoms of major depressive disorder in the past 2 weeks, including more than 2 in 3 transgender and non-binary youth. Threatening access to health care and a child's ability to live as their true self would have direct negative impact on a transgender youth's mental health and could put their life at risk. In contrast, the survey also stated that LGBTQ youth who had access to spaces that affirmed their sexual orientation and gender identity reported lower rates of attempting suicide than those who did not. Whereas the transphobic statements, actions, and rhetoric used on campus directly threaten the physical health and lives of UNT students. These statements cross the line from hate speech to true threats and are not protected by the constitutional right to free speech. Whereas the UNT Code of Student Conduct defines interim suspension of student groups as a directive from the university to cease all activities, meetings, and representation as a student group while the conduct process is pending. A student group can be interimly suspended when the university reasonably believes that the student group's continued presence poses substantial and immediate danger to the health, safety, or welfare of any member of the university community or of the university premises. Therefore, let it be resolved that any UNT student organization that engages in hate speech, hate crimes, and or violation of UNT policy through transphobic posts, statements, and actions be immediately suspended to protect the mental, emotional, and physical health of transgender students at UNT. Let it be further resolved that this legislation be sent to the following parties: Dr. Neil Smottresk, UNT President; Joanne Woodard, Vice President for Inclusion, Diversity, Equity, and Access; Dr. Elizabeth With, Senior Vice President of Student Affairs; Dr. Maureen McGinnis, Dean of Students; Kathleen Hobson, Director of the UNT Pride Alliance, The Space at UNT, and Krista Coffey, Director of the UNT Student Activities. Respectfully submitted, Senator Beige Cowell, College of Music; Samantha Cowell, Media Relations Officer, The Space at UNT; and Julian Yanis, College of Music Idea Council. All references and appendices are included, obviously.
Alrighty, so I'm just gonna take a quick minute to kind of say that was a lot. And if someone would want to go to recess, if someone feels the need to, that's an option. I know this was a lot. Senator Reese.
I know that that was very emotional for the bill writers, so I would move to recess so that they can be able to reconvene if they feel that is necessary.
Senator Johnson seconds that.
Alrighty. I'm gonna, is that okay with y'all? All right. Does 5 minutes work? Or what do you think 5 minutes is Alrighty. So we'll reconvene again at 6:46. Alrighty. Okay. All righty. I call this meeting back to order at 6:47 p.m. Alrighty. So I know the authors wanted to share a couple more remarks. The floor is still yours, sorry, not yours.
Okay, thank you. I do want to thank everyone for sending through that. I know maybe it seems like a chore since there were so many statements that we included, but as somebody who is not transgender and going through the responses of that survey, reading through all of them was a lot and it made me uncomfortable. And I felt it was really important for you guys to have that experience to really understand what the students are feeling. So thank you for sticking through that with me. We have some transgender students here in the audience, and I do want to ask one of them. I think AJ volunteered to talk about his own experiences. So if we could get a mic back there, please. Thank you, Senator Allen.
Sure can.
I think AJ is a member of the space, if I'm correct. And I believe Lily is here too. Thank you.
Hi, I'm AJ Tucker. I use he, him, and they, them pronouns. I am very involved with the trans community on campus and especially with YCT, which has been mentioned in some of the statements. And it's very harmful, the things that they are spreading. And it's hurtful not just to me, but to like almost every trans student that I have talked to about this issue. I mean, as a whole, the trans community has felt very scared, uncomfortable, frightened, unsafe, and even people that are wanting to be on campus, that are incoming freshmen, are scared to come to UNT because they think that we are now, you know, this university is like every other university in Texas where they won't be accepting, where they won't be able to give the trans community the necessary resources and support that we need to know that we aren't going to be hate crimed for just existing, for just being ourselves on campus. And it's disheartening to hear what the UNT president has stated on this matter. It's disheartening to know that they are not really doing a whole lot to actually condemn these student orgs that are being transphobic and spreading transphobic misinformation and rhetorics. And it hurts all of us whenever we see this sort of things being not necessarily condoned, but not being condemned on campus. And
Hi, my name is Lily Helly. I also wanted to speak very briefly. I am an active member of the space. I actually just became the social media manager. I ran a tea party today for trans people to come and just find community and feel safe and make friends, and that was wonderful. But everything that you said was perfect in every single way that you said it. But I guess I just want to add that, like, it's disheartening to feel that the support has not been lackluster. The support has been non-existent. Like, in terms of what we can get for people speaking for us, inviting somebody to campus to speak on behalf of trans people in advocacy, there hasn't been any motions or any, like, even movements towards that. And that's been really, really hard to deal with because everybody is listening, everybody on campus, and especially the trans community. And we don't feel safe. It's true. Like, everything that they've done in their, like, social media and all of their acts have all been very targeted towards us. It's been hate speech that shouldn't be protected. I feel like that's just pretty obvious. But thank you for discussing this today and for hearing our voices because we just really need to be heard by y'all. You want to say anything, Kevin? That's all good.
All righty. Any more words?
No, I think we're good. Thank you, Lily and AJ. Thank you so much.
All right. The floor is open for any motions. Senator Ruiz.
I move that we go into a period of discussion.
It's not under merge
It's
status.
not under period of questioning.
All right, is there a second for questioning?
Senator Bawala seconds.
All right, you have the first question.
I just wanted to applaud you guys and the courage and bravery that you all had before us, including the speakers and the guest audience, to come here and openly express your remorse in your remarks, because this is very damaging. I have a loved one who is in the process of questioning their gender and potentially transgender. And so this also touches me very deeply. My question to you, Senator Cowell, is I spoke with President Smatrusk about the investigative process that occurs whenever the discrimination and harassment clause is broken via a student organization. And he stated to me that unfortunately they have to all undergo an investigative process that can be lengthy, and they cannot really provide an accurate estimation for each investigation. And I know that that is something that you brought up within your whereas. However, I thought that maybe if it was possible, I wanted to see why you guys didn't include maybe like having stricter outline of them maybe potentially going through the investigative process more effectively and quicker, being more adamant on addressing student complaints and concerns. Because I agree with you, it shouldn't take 3 to 4 weeks of investigation within a student organization who is continuously stated transphobic and homophobic and basically any discriminatory remarks on their social media that is UNT affiliated. I don't think it should take that long. However, unfortunately, it is. My question to you is, why did you not include something that outlines that within your bill or makes it to where they have to be held more accountable for that?
Something that outlines the university process?
So what I'm saying is maybe make it to where they have to be more effective and quicker regarding that investigative process.
That's something we definitely considered. I think every situation, obviously every situation is different. I don't think you can put a time limit on that. And obviously every situation is going to do a different level of harm and requires a different level of urgency. So that's, I would rather make a strong case for classifying these actions that this UNT student org did and the speech that they used as violating UNT policy, because per some of the president's emails, we seem to be on a different page. And so at the end of the day, we need to protect trans students. That is our top priority. And any student organization who engages in this kind of behavior has to be suspended. I don't find it effective to outline the policy in this document. I think that's way above my pay grade. I'm not familiar with every intricacy because situations like these, not just code of conduct can be involved, state law can be involved, federal law can be involved, Title IX, etc. And so that's kind of why we took this approach.
All right, thank you.
Senator Johnson.
And just a lot to process, and just the world we live in, eh? Kudos for the dynamic duo over there. The sisters at it again. If you don't mind me asking, who's the older, who's the younger?
I'm the older sister.
Older sister. So I'm relating to you. I got a little sister here, and anyone who did anything close to this, I don't know. So my heart is with you on that. I just have one question. I understand that all this has to do with the incidents that occurred and continue happening. Or actually, I had two questions now that I thought of it. Dealing with the trans community here, the hateful rhetoric of YCT. would it be too presumptuous, or do you think this should just target one community of the LGBTQ community instead of making an item in there saying for all LGBTQ plus students, instead of just the trans and encompassing all of them?
That's a good question. I think per some of the student responses that we got, people who have identities, as far as I can tell, people who have identities in the queer community who are cisgender but maybe are gay or lesbian, bi, etc. They aren't feeling as targeted as the trans community. And a lot of the stuff that has been going on campus has been targeting the trans community. And so right now they are the most vulnerable group of people in the
Right.
LGBTQ community at large. And so I think if other situations arise where a different group is being targeted, obviously the situations of that are going to be different. And so whoever's in Senate next year, maybe we'll have to address that. But for right now, this is the group that needs protecting.
Okay, and then David, can you scroll down to where the rhetoric used the word trans tards?
I believe it is the last group of whereas quotes from the survey. Anonymous 52 on top of page 10.
Also loved how the Greatest Show was playing as that. I thought that was very appropriate. Wrong song from the soundtrack to play, but I thought kind of rounded it out nicely. So my question is, so going through the top, the other ones are talking about the solidarity, saying this is how I feel. Unless I'm reading this wrong, the I love the war against trans tards is let's cure the mental disability. That's targeting, that's hate speech, correct?
Yes.
So
why is it included?
Well, in terms of with the clumped up with the other ones saying this is just an example of what hate speech is going on around UNT.
So kind of how we formatted the legislation, all of the statements are categorized together because a lot of them touch on many different issues. It would, I don't know, it would be too disjuncted if we separated them. And so that is one that I wanted to include because it is an example of how behavior like this is welcoming more hate on campus. If one group can get away with it, why not me or whatever?
Slippery slope kind of stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, yeah, I guess it is an example of the hate speech in no uncertain terms.
All righty, we'll move on to the next person. Senator Lee.
Thank you.
Hi guys. Hi Paige. Thank you so much for coming out, and Samantha, and I believe it was Kevin earlier who also helped read.
Yes.
Just thank you all so much. I really appreciate y'all coming and sharing, especially reading through the document. I read before, but I realized there's a lot to unpack, and reading out loud kind of helps you process it again and see things that you might have missed. My question is specifically about the main therefore clause, like the actionable thing. Just kind of, I think, to me, I see like suppressing a group or what is that? I need time to think for it. Suspending an org could potentially make the situation more volatile, at least specifically with people in the org being suspended. And just kind of something I was thinking about is like if there would be backlash from people who were in the org suspended. So just kind of what steps the authors are taking to make sure the trans community continues to feel safe if these things happen in the case of backlash and stuff like that.
I believe retaliation is a Title IX issue. And I don't know if that would be considered retaliation, or if somebody did lash out against a trans student because of a student organization being suspended per this resolution, I guess that would have to be a complaint that student would have to file with Title IX or Student Code of Conduct. I will go ahead and recognize Devin, who's much more knowledgeable about this.
I think you can correct me if I'm wrong, but if you see any violence, anything that breaks student code of conduct, that is reportable. Please report to the Dean of Students. But if there's no objections, Devin, go ahead.
Will someone
Need a
pass
mic?
him a mic?
I got him.
So retaliation is a violation of UNT policies and student code of conduct. Well, I think it's probably in a few different places. I'm pretty sure it's in the student code of conduct, which is a separate policy number. If we're referring to 16.004, I think there might also be a retaliation prohibition clause in there as well. Depending, I mean, either one, I think there's a retaliation clause. And of course, if we're referring to violence as well, that's of course not only a violation of UNT policy, that's also a legal issue that I'm sure would be followed up by the appropriate authorities. Just also wanted to provide an additional little, I guess, comment. I guess something to think about with this. What standard? What should be the baseline standard by which an organization is suspended? And then should that action not be taken because of what could happen? I think those are just some things that we might want to think about. If the option is there in the first place, is that what is the reason for that, and where, why, and how should it be used? Just want to throw that out there.
Follow-up question, Mr. Speaker?
Yes,
That
go ahead.
might be more towards Devin and or Krista if she's paying
Okay,
attention on the
Krista's
call about
participating
policy.
virtually.
So
Yep.
if, say, an organization were suspended and then continued to meet unofficially, say they made an off-campus club hanging out different places, and I think in my original question, I was thinking more of things like along the lines of online harassment or making continuous flyers. Would they still be beholden by the student code of conduct, or would they then be in the realm of, hey, they can post whatever they want, if it's technically still comprised of students?
Krista, do you mind answering this question? I think this is more up your alley.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
I sorry if I didn't hear the question, but the code of student conduct applies to students and student organizations. So just because a group of students isn't officially registered doesn't mean that they can't be held accountable to the code of student conduct. I don't know if that hit your whole question. If not, tell me the rest of it again.
I think that covered it basically.
Alrighty. Senator Van Voris.
Hello, Senator Cowell and sister. So nice to meet you and have you here. I won't waste much time reiterating what the rest of my colleagues have said in congratulating you and applauding you for all your hard work and dedication to supporting our students here on campus. I have a couple logistical questions, and this is just the political science student in me coming out, so bear with me here. And I wrote them down because I didn't want to get this wrong. But would it be more effective to replace in the let it be resolved clause the phrase hate speech with true threats? Since hate speech in of itself is protected under the First Amendment, hate speech is only unconstitutional when there's a level of intimidation that translates to direct action.
Yeah, that's a good point. Definitely something I'll be writing that one down. There are going to be some amendments that we propose for next week, just because we're still meeting with university admin about this document. So that's definitely something we'll address. Thank you.
Thank you. The other thing I wanted to ask is why you included Virginia v. Black 2003, since that case is specifically in regards to the burning of crosses, and while it does discuss the First Amendment and hate speech, as well as true threats and in acts of intimidation, it's a very specific case that I'm having a hard time understanding why you're applying the ruling in such context.
Yeah, as far as I understand, that case is what gave the definition for true threats, which was why it was included, unless I'm mistaken. But when I was reading through court documents, it was saying that like the court made the decision that First Amendment protection becomes intimidation when a true threat and defines true threat, and so that's why that was used.
Okay. If I might suggest, I would love to work with you on this just because I want this document to be, I mean, as solid as possible. So I think that case specifically, its application is a little wrongly applied in this sense. So that might be something worth considering this week before we vote on it next week. And I'd be more than happy to assist you in terms of making some slight amendments.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Senator Gillis.
So first things first, thank y'all for this. I mean, this was incredible. I have family members who are a part of these communities, and to see someone advocating for them it's such a bittersweet feeling, you know, we're grateful that we have people like y'all here, but it's so sad that we have to have these arguments in the first place. So thank y'all. I know towards the bottom of the document, you have people like Joanne Woodard, Dr. With, President Smotrisk, of course. And I know y'all have, you know, prepared very thoroughly for this. Have y'all had conversations with any of those people, or were there any discussions with admin had in preparation for this? I'm just curious what that aspect of the preparation for this sort of looked like.
Yeah, so because the document took over a month to put together, we didn't want to present something unfinished to any of these people. I did speak with, well, Devin was also there to help, with Dr. McGinnis about this, any potential problems regarding the university. We have reached out to Dr. Kimmy King on this, and she can't meet with us for some reasons, but she did give a lot of more procedural guidance, which is greatly appreciated. We're trying to meet with Dr. Eve Schattenbell, I believe, sometime before our meeting next week. And Krista did, of course, give her some comments on the document. So those are the people we've been in contact with so far.
Okay, for sure. Thank you so much.
Alrighty, Senator Boala.
I wanted to thank you, Senator Cowell. I can tell you put a lot of time and work into this document, and I really appreciate you doing that. I had a few questions for you. So, let's say like someone represent like a singular person who's part of an organization hypothetically said some hate speech. So would that lead to that person's whole organization being suspended?
So how we have it right now, if that person were saying those things, saying things that fell under our definitions of violations of the policy, etc. If they were saying that on behalf of the student organization, then yes, that would be an issue that would need to be addressed.
Okay, and then I had one more question. So like what exactly would be classified as like hate or threatening speech?
So some examples were given in the document, but I believe federal and state law has more conclusive definitions on that. I'm not completely versed on the subject.
Okay.
Alrighty, Senator Allen.
If I may, sorry, can I answer his question about what constitutes as harassment?
Sure.
So I'm just looking at the UNT policy at 16.004, the prohibition of discrimination, harassment, and retaliation. Under definition 4 of harassment, A and B, harassment means unwelcome verbal or physical conduct because of race, color, national origin, religion, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, gender expression, age, disability, genetic information, veteran status, or any other characteristic protected under the applicable federal or state law, such as conduct, creates an intimidating, hostile, or offensive environment, and is, Part A, sufficiently severe or pervasive, or persistent, that it interferes with the student's ability to participate or benefit from educational programs or activities, or B, sufficiently severe, pervasive, or persistent that it unreasonably interferes with an employee's work performance or creates an intimidating, hostile, or offensive work environment.
Does that help?
Thank you.
Alrighty. Just like throw out there that y'all not lawyers. That's what I'm gonna say. Okay. Senator Ruiz.
I just had one more question regarding the fact that some organizations are allowed to invite speakers who actually violate the obvious discriminatory and harassment clause. I know that Jeff Younger is known for his anti-trans remarks and his hate speech, which although hate speech is protected, I wanted to ask why you guys didn't also extend that to organizations being suspended if they invite members onto campus who violate the UNT code of conduct, because that is something I talked to about with Dr. Smatresk, and he actually agreed with me and said that there is nothing that's kind of like a loophole. Is that something not that you guys didn't want to like cover? Because I know that you included the UNT event poster with Jeff Younger on it.
Yeah. Most of the discussions about Jeff Younger were contextual, since I mean that event is what sparked a lot of the issues. As far as I know, university student organizations do have the right to invite any speaker to campus, and I didn't know how that wasn't our main concern, because at the end of the day, the student organization that is mentioned made statements on their own that are in violation of policy, etc. So we felt that that would have it's enough to just take care of the UNT side of things.
Got it. Thank you.
Senator McDowell.
Okay. Sorry, Samantha has something.
Yeah, go ahead.
If I understand correctly, the UNT Code of Conduct only applies to students. And so if a UNT student organization invites a speaker, the speaker does represent the student organization, though they themselves cannot be confined by the Student Code of Conduct.
Can I follow up really quickly?
Sadly, no. We're gonna have to move on. I mean, everyone has questions. Senator McDowell.
Thank you for everything you've been working towards. I don't really know how to word this as a question. So could you just, if someone feels that they need some help or that maybe they've been retaliated against or harassed or something like that, do you know of any resources that person could go to get help?
I believe David is pulling them up right now. There are a lot. There's the care team, obviously, testing and counseling centers, and then in this space, survivors advocacy. And then if a complaint needs to be filed, then obviously there's different forms on UNT websites where those are easily easily found. Dean of Students Office, etc.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure that that was out there in the meeting. So if anyone feels any of those things, they have the opportunity to sort of look at this meeting and say, okay, I need to go to the counseling and testing services or the care team or whatever.
Thank you.
I'm going to emphasize that if anyone, you can easily search it on Google, but if you know anyone, I know executive branch, we're always here to support anyone since we are paid employees of the university. So if you know anyone and you don't know how to navigate that process, please communicate with us. And I'm pretty sure Krista could say the same, as she works very close with students. But let's move on to Senator Johnson.
So after we get done with this session, and we move on to the next to go into like voting periods and stuff like that, let's assume that it all passes. Devin like runs out of the office to go sign this thing, as he should. What would be the timeline to get something like this implemented with counting in the lack of support from administrators? Can you put it estimated or anything?
I'll say my dream is for this to be implemented immediately. But we have to understand that this is a recommendation in the university. We can sign it, Devin can approve it, but at the end of the day, if it shows up on Dr.
Smontresk.
It shows up on his desk. He still makes the decision on whether or not he takes our recommendation. I like to think that we've built a strong case. So I hope that he will carefully consider the document. Also, this is off topic to your question. Thank you. I did want to add, if you're looking for resources, Appendix E, we have included the link to the survey that we ran. I think you may actually have to type in the link. It's not hyperlinked. But the survey is down, but all of the resources that we compiled, including on campus, national, and like state resources, are all listed. So there are a lot of places there that you can access those.
I would also suggest, Beige, if the whole College of Music and music doesn't work out, public policy is where you need to be heading next.
I have too many gray hairs now because of this.
Just a suggestion. Love it, by the way.
Alrighty, Senator Ruiz.
Since this is not being listed as emergency status, when the period of questioning is over, how are we to proceed on this?
We go to the next item of the agenda.
All right. So if there are no questions.
I believe we do have a question.
Yes.
Oh, just kidding.
Senator McFarland, go ahead.
Hi. So, first of all, thank you so much for writing this. Thank you for being brave enough to read this in front of us. I, as someone who identifies as non-binary, really appreciate that someone is doing something for our community here. My one question is, I do work in the Dean of Students office, and I've heard our conduct supervisor, Gino, say, I won't touch this with a 10-foot pole to, in response to all the complaints that we get on a weekly or more basis about YCT. So I would like to know, what exactly do you want the Dean of Students office to do about this? Because I agree with you that we're not doing enough.
I want the Dean of Students office to suspend any student organization who violates UNT policy per the outline that we provide in this document. I mean, like I said, this is a recommendation. We can't force them to do anything. I just hope that the university administration, from the president to the dean of students to anybody else who's involved in this, will listen to the trans student voices that we have included in this document. And well, I guess we'll take our recommendation seriously.
Thank you.
All right, if there's no objections, Devin, you have the floor.
I'd offer a point of information, but I'm not empowered to do that. So just wanted to offer some clarification. It's my understanding that any violations which would fall under 16.004 and 16.005, which are discrimination, harassment, sexual assault, sexual harassment, etc., are addressed by the Title IX office, which is under the direction of Eve Shatine Bell. Any violations of the Student Code of Conduct or any other complaints for the university are addressed by the Dean of Students office. And so the way in which the complaint is filed and what the argument is being made, whether it's a discrimination concern or a code of conduct concern, is going to depend on which office it goes to. So I would just say it's not always going to necessarily be the Dean of Students. It might also be the Title IX office, just depending on the nature of the complaint and how it's filed. Just want to make sure that we're kind of on the same page on what that process looked like a little bit.
Alrighty, Senator Lee.
Hello again. My question is kind of related to Senator McFarland's about the implementation. Because if I remember correctly, recently with the Food for All bill, Devin released like a memo with, I don't want to like put words in Devin's mouth, but my understanding was basically saying like UNT Senate doesn't have the oversight in a lot of the things that we want to implement. Like we just don't have the power over other orgs. Not to say this isn't something that we shouldn't advocate for, but just kind of if y'all think a similar memo will be necessary, because I think again, I don't want to put words in Devin's mouth, but I think it was kind of contextualizing, saying like, so the student body doesn't get confused about what our powers are and not get their hopes up, but like not misconstrue like what we have the power to do. So if you think a memo like that would be appropriate, or just
if the president feels the need to include a memo, then that's totally fine. The nature of a resolution is that it is a recommendation, and we can't tell the university what to do. We can just make resolutions, I guess. So short answer, if Devin thinks so, then sure.
Just want to add something too. Just because it's a suggestion doesn't mean we cannot have conversation or it ends here. Does that make sense? Y'all are advocates. That's our job, is to make sure that we're constantly following up and making sure that we're amplifying student voices. So I know me and Devin will continue to do that and have those conversations. Senator Reese.
Hi, Beige. So going off of, those questions that were recently asked about how, yes, we do advocate, and that's why I love that we brought forth this conversation to the table, because this is an issue that has been plaguing our student body as well as our constituents. That's who we represent. My question to you is, once this does get signed, I mean, it's up to admin to do what they want once it's put on Neil's desk after Devin runs to sign it, once we do vote on it and hopefully send it in favor towards getting it passed. Will you guys publicize this to actually be able to put more pressure on admin to give a response and be able to hold themselves accountable to any decisions they make regarding this legislation?
So as far as I understand, whenever legislation is passed in the Senate, it's posted to all SGA social media. It's put on the website and stuff like that. I believe NT Daily also will report on it. So, I mean, once it leaves me, we vote on it and goes to Devin. It is kind of out of my hands because we can't force the university to take our recommendation. So
No, absolutely. I'm sorry. Let me follow up with what I was trying to say. Like, would you be willing to like send this over to like Pink News or like Dallas Morning News or like major media publications that could be able to spread this further in order to keep admin in pressure to actually respond?
It will already be public information once it's posted to the website. So I don't see the need.
Okay. Thank you.
Senator Johnson.
Just to kind of go off Kaylin's point, a suggestion is that there is a very active community that supports what happened, or doesn't support what happened, but is ready to mobilize. I'm sure that will always be a tool used at the student's discretion, and I think that would be also a very wise thing to do after it's all, we got results saying we got Neil out of the administration building to talk to him. So just an idea.
Any other questions? Senator Gillis?
Yeah. Once again, from the bottom of my heart, thank y'all for this. But yeah. No, for real. Y'all are incredible. But if there aren't any further questions, then I move that we go on to the next item on our agenda.
Senator Reese, seconds.
Alrighty, let's move on to the next item agenda. Again, thank you so much, Senator Cowell and our amazing readers. Move on to the next item on the agenda. Let me share my screen. Alrighty, Senator of the 219th session. So how this is going to work. So just in case people forgot, so the description of what it means to be senator of the session. So it's a senator who have made an impact on the student senate. This person went the extra mile to connect with their constituency and create positive change within the college. So this is the process how we're going to go about this. We're going to have a nomination period. After that, we're going to have speakers give a little spiel, so speeches. Then we'll have a period for questioning. Questions will be only asked directly to a specific person, just to make sure we're being efficient. And at the end, we'll go to voting. And how voting is going to work is definitely electronic, and we will not announce the results. It'll be announced, I believe, at banquet. So, so the floor is open for any motion or any nominations. You can nominate yourself. You can even nominate others, but we'll start off with Senator Johnson.
I nominate Senator Beige Cowl for senator of the session.
Beige, do you accept? Yeah. Awesome. Any other nominations? Senator Van Voris?
I nominate Grant Johnson for senator of the session.
Grant, do you accept?
Sure, what the hell?
Any other nominations? Senator Gillis?
Yeah, I want to nominate Alejandro for senator of the session.
Okay. Alejandro, do you accept?
Sure.
Okay. Any other nominations?
I want to nominate Ethan Gillis.
Okay. Ethan, do you accept?
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Yes, I do.
All right. Senator Cowell?
Can I nominate Senator Schulte if she's not here?
Yes.
Okay. I nominate Senator Schulte.
And we'll assume that she said yes. Senator Garcia?
I nominate Kaylin Reese.
Okay. Kaylin, do you accept?
I accept. Thank you, Daniel.
All right. Any other nominations? All righty. So let's do this. All y'all come up front. So y'all can go whatever order y'all feel like. We'll give each people a minute to give a little spiel. And then we'll move to a period of questioning. So I'm gonna move this over. I'm gonna move my phone.
Ladies first.
No, you go first.
Chivalry is not dead.
Alrighty. I'll let you know when time starts.
Oh.
Could you reiterate what you wanted us to cover within our speech again?
Why do you feel like you represent? Why do you think you'll be the center of the session? So, gonna pull up this on the screen again. So, the center of the session is someone who has made an impact on the student senate. This person went the extra mile to connect with their constituency and create positive change within their college. So, give me 1 second. Timer. You may begin.
Firstly, I want to thank you guys all. I know this is my first semester, and I was newly elected just a couple weeks ago, but I feel that I have positively made change. I'm still advocating for us to become more united and organized. I think it's so imperative that as someone who is in all committees, I was able to watch and see every single committee kind of communicate, and in turn, we built like this really beautiful relationship with amongst all of us. I'm still working on to make sure that like we get Robert's rules laminated so that everyone feels comfortable enough to be able to engage within Senate without feeling like they are going to say the wrong thing or mess up. It's just something that's, utilized and useful to have. While I am super grateful for my nomination I accepted, like I said, I still have a lot of room to grow, and it won't be absolutely terrible if I do not receive your votes. I believe that Senator Grant and Senator Grant Johnson and Senator Beige Cowell are two amazing, phenomenal people that also should be recognized too. So thank you.
All right. Next up, we have Senator Castellanos. All right. Whenever, all right, time begins now.
Okay. I'd like to thank Ethan for the nomination. It's much appreciated and in great company too. I mean, what better group of people. I kind of want to take the time to talk about just a little bit my growth in Senate. For anyone here that was here last semester might know, didn't really ask too many questions. I wasn't, I didn't participate a whole lot. But that doesn't mean I wasn't listening, and that doesn't mean I wasn't learning. I took that time, that fall semester, to kind of find my footholds and find where I'm comfortable participating and finding projects that I'm passionate about. And I think a lot of that is attributed to the great group of people I'm surrounded by, from all of you guys in Senate. All the questions you guys ask or perspectives that I wouldn't have considered. To our exec, who always are so prepared and kind of have led the way for me, and to Grant, who has kind of pulled me along aside him, and and just kind of allowed me to see my potential and allow me to kind of fulfill that role.
All
and
right,
reach
time
it.
is up.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Senator Gillis. Your time starts now.
Yeah, so I could stand up here and talk about the things I'm proud of myself doing, the work our committee has done, the legislation I've passed, but I mostly just want to talk about how thankful I am for this organization. I came into this organization at a very stressful time in my life. It was just after my grandmother had passed away, and I was worried I was going to fight to get into this group and quit a few weeks later. And many months later, I am so incredibly proud to say that I'm still here and we are still making things happen. We make people happy in this organization. We implement change and we accomplish so many phenomenal things. And I'm so honored to be a part of this group. Just in the last few weeks alone, the work our committee has done, the work this group has done, has genuinely made me phenomenally proud to be a part of this organization. In the last conversation I actually had with my grandmother, she expressed to me she was worried about me being too involved. And with getting into Senate, I was scared, but I know I've made her proud and we've all made her proud. So I want to thank you guys.
All right, time is up. All right, next up we have Senator Johnson. Your time begins now.
Some tough acts to follow there. So I'm a two-term senator. I've kind of had my hand in everything from transportation to securing food for all students on campus, hashtag food for all students. Also serving as Sergeant of Arms my first year, also Speaker Pro Tempore during the summer session. I've worked on everything from, I was the first senator, in my first year as senator, I was the only senator to put anything out for LGBTQ plus students, also partnering with other senators to get COVID prices for parking prices down, as well as having the deep, deep honor of serving as chair of many different organizations. It's just been a blast. I know tensions can get hot. It could get passionate at times, but when I look back at Senate after being 2 years here, I will only look back and smile. Not only that, I also lost a bad year for grandparents. My grandfather died 2 weeks before, and I had to bury him 2 weeks before. So the Senate has always been there for me. Thank you all.
All right. Senator Cowell.
Check.
All right, your start begins now.
Hey, gang. I just want to thank everybody here for y'all's participation today. Some of you know that Sammy and I were in foster care, and so we don't really have any family. And getting to work on this legislation with her has really meant a lot, since I'm not always, going to be here to protect her. So working on something that maybe could, anyway, it's been really meaningful. And y'all have made that possible, being a part of this group. And I can't thank you enough for all the questions and consideration and patience that you guys have had for me as we've been working on this document for a long time. So I just want to say that it's really been an honor to serve with you guys.
Awesome. And then, since I know Senator Schulte is not present, and I'm not, oh. Yeah, I'm not done. Yeah, I'm trying to do rank choice voting. So I'm gonna reset this. I can talk a little bit about Gracie, if that's okay with y'all. So I think Gracie is an option to be nominated against everyone else. But personal experience with Gracie is Gracie has shown passion. I think that's a really important quality. and a senator. We have extensive conversations about how to improve Senate, and I think she does a lot of work behind the scenes. I know that she's been, I remember at retreat, she was kind of like, David, I am so anxious. I don't know if I can feel included. I don't know if I'm doing this right. And asking if I'm even a good person, am I doing the right things, tells me that she's a good person and a good leader. And I think her work for Senate has been excellent. And I think that's why y'all should consider maybe Gracie. But that's enough time for me. Okay. All righty. So now that we have ended this, we'll about 10 minutes for questioning for total, if that's okay with everyone. And we'll start the period of questioning. And remember, ask a specific person. If you say everyone, I will be like, so, alrighty. The period of questioning begins now. Any questions? So, do we have any questions for any of our nominees? And of course, the audience can ask questions. Make it fun. Okay, no questions? Okay, Senator Lee, go ahead.
Beige, where'd you get your blazer?
I'm really glad someone asked me this. I had bought a different blazer to wear today, and I put it on, and my roommate was like, absolutely not. And so this is his jacket and blazer.
Shout out to the roommate.
Anyway.
It looks very nice.
Thank you.
Yes. If someone can give one of our speakers a mic, that would be fantastic. And whenever you are ready, you can present your question.
Hi, my question is also for Senator Bees. What was the hardest part working on this legislation for you? Or like, what did you find the most difficult out of all of it?
Definitely reading the survey responses. A lot of them were really heavy. And some of them who didn't give their consent to be included. It was a lot. And I'm glad that I was in a position where I could address those things and be the person who could facilitate some change. But it was difficult.
Yeah, well, thank you. It was really important what you did. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Alrighty, any other questions for? All right, yeah, y'all have the mic. Just go ahead.
Senator Ruiz, what are your plans for further legislation?
That's so awesome that you asked that. I have been reelected, so I will be back next term. I'm really excited about that. My future plans for legislation, I'm actually currently working with a group of individuals known as the USPAAC. We want to increase not only measures about COVID, but also disability. That's something that that's a group on campus that has been underrepresented for a very long time. And, you know, they're getting fed up. And thankfully, I promised them when I was elected that I would still remain a very active founder within the USPAAC, not just against COVID, but also we're expanding our borders a little bit about disability. So I want to increase legislation that is highlighting a lot of the conversations that need to be had about the underrepresentedness that the disability community within UNT is experiencing, as well as I want to increase measures for mental health. That's a huge, huge issue that is facing UNT students. And I want to collaborate with other senators. I've already kind of been sparking the conversation with Senator McFarland. Thank you so much for that, by the way. And I know that next term we'll be able to do that, and I'm really excited about that. I also want to do legislation within the Latinx community. As someone who is a woman of color, I also want to kind of touch on that. And also regarding being a woman of color, I want to go over sexual harassment on campus. There's been a lot of reports about that within the past couple of years. And, you know, UNT kind of just slaps a wrist on those incidents when they occur. But also within our LGBTQ community, that's something that is super, super, super important, which I was so grateful that Beige was able to bring that onto campus. I spoke with Beige whenever I actually had legislation that I was working on when the whole thing happened, but out of respect for Beige, I withdrew anything that I was working on because I didn't want it to become too conglomerated and not give a unified message. But I will be continuing to press efforts
because that is something that is so important to me, the LGBTQ community, as well as the trans students. Like I said, I have a loved one who is questioning. So it is imperative for me to take care of a community that not only is so near and dear to my heart, but in general just deserves love. There's no reason above it. So that's all. Thank you.
All right, awesome. Senator McDowell.
Senator Johnson, what do you think is the most important thing you've done?
Ooh, that's a loaded question right there. I kind of have two. I mean, it's like honestly, there's no one. The one that one of the two that I'm most proud of is one partnering with Senator Beige over here, doing the pronouns. That was absolutely amazing. I believe it kind of helps further put pressure on the administrators, as well as saying this overwhelming need for pronoun inclusion on all UNT student IDs, the protection of all LGBTQ plus students on campus. But the other one would be partnering, was given to me through the opportunity of serving on Eagles Nest Committee with Alejandro and Mustafa, but he is absent. I think he has a class actually. So it would be the Food for All students. It just mind boggles me that it took this long to see and get legislation out and talk about it, put pressure on administrators to serve food for students that practice all religions and all backgrounds. And I think those were probably my top two, I would have to say. Thank you.
Any other questions? Nope. All righty. If there's no questions, we'll go to period of voting. I thank you all. All righty. So I am. Yeah, or you can just leave it there. You can just leave it there. All righty. So I did turn off the cameras or the projectors. So at this time, I'm going to drop a link in the Teams chat. So I believe you were able to sign in, and then you were able to rank choice. No, I believe it should be one. I can confirm that. It is ranked choice. I said that, yes. All the candidates will be ranked. So whoever gets the most, hopefully, if I had to do 2 rounds, then we can do 2 rounds. But it should be ranked. It should be on Teams, so y'all can log in on Teams. And yeah. It's on the side. It's our channel. It's our Senate channel. Okay. And then ooh, wait a minute. Give me 1 second. I have to redo this. Give me 1 second, y'all. Okay. Yes. Hey, y'all, I'm gonna have to redo this form. It's anonymous, so yeah, that's not gonna work. No. Yes. Yeah.
down my.
No, y'all can vote electronically.
Okay, I did it already, but.
I'm gonna redo it again.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I just need
Should I
a-
try again in like a couple minutes?
Yeah. No. All right, so y'all, I'm gonna try this again. So the settings were wrong, so one response, record name. Okay. Give me 1 second. All righty. I believe y'all can try now. Let me know if anyone has any issues. Yes, you have to sign in. Yeah. Okay, Casey, let's not be a show off. All right, so huh? Yes, so make sure that the number 1, that's your top choice. So you are moving people around, and hopefully that tells me, and I can ask Devin. And then yeah, so this is how it's looking like. We're gonna have to see. I have to literally gonna have to export this.
Yeah, I'll check in like a.
Huh? All right, Senator Baker, you said you voted twice. I believe you did not vote. So it's the second link. Should be the right link. Yes. Yes. So you're able to sign in. Only one response. Nick, I believe you're the last person to.
I'm so sorry. I forgot to unmute earlier when you were talking to me.
Oh, no, you're good. Is it working?
I think so.
Okay.
Let me know if
I'm
you
just.
see.
Huh? Who has not voted yet? Zane has not voted yet. I think that we're waiting on Zane. And actually, nope, you're voted. Who has not voted? Nope, it's whoever's present in the chamber. So Ethan has voted. Winston, have you voted yet? No? It's the second vote. Oh, wait. Okay. I didn't refresh. Sorry. Okay. Alrighty. Settings. No more responses. All righty, y'all. And the winner is. No, I know how to do this. Like. Yes, the winner is me. I'm kidding. No. Thank you. Thank you. Y'all will find out at banquet. Okay. So let's do this. All right. Actually, let me X out of this. So we actually don't. Hey, I'm not like Tom Holland. Apparently Tom Holland like is bad at keeping things. So yes, is. All righty. So we have now at the end shout outs and announcements. So Senator Johnson.
So one announcement, SAA applications will be opening on April 12th. Everyone should apply. Wonderful networking opportunities, being there for two consecutive semesters, and you get a free UNT class ring. And the dope ass cardigans you see me and Ethan in all the time, you get one of those too. And then again, shout out to my two committee members, Ethan and Alejandro, for doing absolute amazing work. And just to Andy, just being the cool dude that he is and always willing to take my 3 a.m. phone calls and text messages. Andy. Yeah. Yay, Andy, for the record.
Y'all can shout him out. There's a shout out. Y'all, come on, y'all.
Okay, I wanted to give an announcement and then do a shout out. My dear friend of mine, she is the president of the Criminal Justice Society and Association, and she wanted me to announce. Anyway, she wanted me to announce to all of the senators who would like to potentially collaborate with her, but that she has a food drive that she is organizing, and she would really love the backing and help of some senators from SGA. So if you guys would like to come out to me to reach out to her in support of that, that'd be totally awesome. And then I'm gonna give a shout out to Bella. That's right, Bella. Don't act like you don't know that you are the now president of the Texas Democrats. Woo! First one in UNT history. That's right. Another round of applause for Miss Bella.
It's actually Madam President.
Madam President, I'm so sorry. Please don't fire me. Okay, but yeah, that's it.
Okay. I'd like to shout out JT and Aaliyah. They are the newly elected SGA president and vice presidents. No, they're not here, but yeah.
Back here.
There we go. Hello. Anyway, shout out to Grant and Ethan for creating for our committee, creating a whole new event and plan in just 2 weeks after a whole new one. We had an original one and we had to rip it up and make a whole new one. And they did that in 2 weeks.
Since we're shouting out Ethan,
Hey, boy.
I want to personally shout you out and showcase your. So I'm telling y'all, when I walked in the office, I was like, "Oh my God, is this ship they got delivery?" And Ethan walks in saying, "That's all. This is the stuff that I got for my event." I'm telling you, y'all. I'm gonna continue. I don't know if you noticed, Ethan. I've been shouting you out throughout this whole week.
Yeah.
This is a major shout out. So you've been awesome, and I want you to be recognized. So yes.
Stay.
Just shout it out. Shout it out. Professor Graham.
How many nominations are there now?
So they're on Instagram and link in bio.
Okay.
To Senator
Sorry.
Cowell. Oh wait, we're still going.
Um,
Yeah.
sorry to cut you off, Casey. I wanted to make sure that I shouted out Devin and David. Y'all don't understand how many times I've called them in the middle of the night, literally in tears, over working on this document. Like, y'all have really gotten me through this semester, and I honestly, we can all really thank them for this legislation. So.
We appreciate you. Y'all can say that again. Actually, this got started.
So, shout out to whoever got us these new mics. Thank you. I think Casey was probably involved in that. I appreciate it. These are much better. So, even if you weren't involved, I'm going to give you credit. So, a couple of announcements. The SGA Excellence Scholarship Award is a scholarship available to SGA members. And y'all are able to apply for that for funding. I think David sent y'all a link, but David can send it again. Make sure y'all are taking advantage of that. I think when COVID hit, I didn't know that existed when COVID hit, and so take advantage of what I did not. First thing. The second thing is, as we get closer to graduation, Casey and I are fixing to dip out from UNT, and I know that there's others in the organization that are looking to do so as well. We have SGA honor cords. The bylaws state that you have to be a member for 2 consecutive full semesters in order to be eligible for those cords. If you don't believe you fall under, and you have to not have been kicked out of the organization previously. Those are the 2 requirements. So I can do that at y'all's request. I know that there's I know that there's some people that want to get them in advance for certain photos and that kind of stuff, and so we're handing them out as they're requested. But if y'all want a cord, reach out to me. If you don't think you meet eligibility requirements, reach out to me. We'll see if if that's something we can work through. But the honor cords are in the office, and so if you think you are eligible for one and you're fixing to graduate this year, stop by the office and we'll try to get that for you. I think that's about all the announcements I had. Of course, shout out to Beige for the legislation.
You awesome. You know that already.
I didn't really plan on talking much on this, but Beige really has put in a significant amount of work that I don't think Beige expected would happen at the beginning of the semester, and now we're here. And the fact that Beige really took on the initiative on this in a way that that they never understood would happen when they signed up for this, I think speaks to their to their diligence, to the student body, and to their character. And so I did want to give them a shout out for that.
Right. Since it's announcements times, so tomorrow, 314 at 7, we'll have UNT's annual drag race show. I'll be there. Yoops will be there. They were actually performing. Anthony's gonna be a judge.
Yes, the category is.
So I know. During the meeting, music was playing. They were rehearsing right next door. So please come out, support. It is going to be crazy. So get there early. I'm going to start off the show. So hopefully y'all can cheer me on. I'm not participating in it, but I'm going to be like a MC. Yes. I no. I'm not there yet. But trying to think anything else.
I have an
Yeah,
announcement.
Yeah, go ahead and announce
Hey,
it.
so we're working. Casey, you know what's up. You know what's about to happen. We're working on bringing an org back from the dead. There once upon a time was an org called SPJ, the Society of Professional Journalists, and it has been dormant for many years. So now the vice president of SPJ is right over there. Communications director is right here. Apparently Sophia is our legal counsel. I don't know how real that is, but even if you're not interested in becoming a professional journalist, we would really appreciate you dropping a follow on Instagram at North Texas SPJ, Twitter at North Texas SPJ, and promoting just as we're trying to get more people to join the organization. We'd greatly appreciate that. And our next general meeting is next Tuesday at 6:30, right? Yes. So pull up. We don't know where yet. That's why you got to follow the Instagram. Come see Vice President Jimenez and Communications Director Gillis. So, and Legal Counsel Von Boris. Thank you guys.
Any other announcements or shout outs?
I want to shout out Zane. Oh my God, you've been like hitting on fire. I realize he's been more active and he seems more comfortable, and I'm really happy to hear that. So we're really happy to have you, and I'm so glad that you're being like you're more comfortable to be engaged. Good job. Proud of you.
All righty. Final shout out to all of our returning senators. Congratulations. Wow, that woo. But well, I'm excited to see what you do in Senate. And of course, you always know I'm not graduating just yet, but I'll still be around. So if you ever need anything, I'm always here as a resource. Can't announce it. But all right, y'all. If there's no other announcements or shout outs, I adjourn this meeting at 8:04 p.m. And the recording, thank you all. Have a good night. Drive safely. Love y'all too.